Hey, what's up, everyone? This video, we're looking at the NBA early slate for Monday. We have two slates going on just because it's MLK Day. Draftkings early slate is huge, much bigger than the main slate. There are 9 games on the early slate. Fanduel is just 3 games, but we'll be covering both in this video, and then later, tomorrow, I'll have a video out for the main slate, like in the morning or afternoon. So yeah, let's get into it. You can drop a like down below, subscribe if you're not already. Hopefully you guys all had a good weekend. It was a great weekend for football. Scored a 187 on Draftkings and a 158 on Fanduel. Going with a lot of the Chiefs receivers. Didn't have Kelsey, had Kittle, who also did nothing, but had Adams, had Mostert, and Williams. So yeah, it was a good weekend for football. Hopefully we have a good week for NBA this week. So starting off here at point guard, Harden and Westbrook, the two most expensive guys, are point guards on the slate. I probably don't get to either one. I don't normally get to either one when they're both healthy, unless it's just a really good matchup or unless Harden is like 10-5 like he was a couple of slates. So unless Harden's so cheap or Westbrook's so cheap, I don't normally get to them unless one of them's out. The ones that really stick out to me are Ja Morant, 8,200. Kyrie Irving, 7,800 is too cheap at home against a Philly team that's been awful on the road. I like Devontae Graham for tournaments at 7,100. Lonzo Ball, if Jrue Holiday misses again at 7,000, that would be really appealing. If Holiday misses, and this game turns into one of my favorite game stacks on the slate. And then Chris Paul at 68. Those are my top 5 that I would look at the position. Out of those, I like Chris Paul a lot. Him and Irving are probably my favorites. Paul is just too cheap. He has the ability to put up like high 40s fantasy points. Facing off against his former team, he does have some revenge there. He had 42 fantasy points just recently against them, and that game also was a blowout, so he only played 28 minutes. Could have easily had like a 50 burger in that game. Price tag is $600 cheaper than he was there. It's a misprice on DraftKings. He's playing great right now, just facilitating, scoring when he needs to. He's been taking over the fourth quarter a lot of the games. So Chris Paul at 68, tough for me to pass up. At shooting guard, I'm looking at Shai Gilgeous at 74. Derrick Rose, great matchup. Now that he's starting, his floor is a lot higher and his upside is higher too, just getting more minutes starting. I would say Van Fleet looks fine at 6,700. And then here, the Cavs are pretty short-handed, so we've seen some big minutes for their starters. Sexton's not super appealing, but he could easily hit 6 to 7x in a matchup against the Knicks here, so he would at least be on my radar. But I love Dylan Brooks again off 5,800. He was solid last time out with 31.5 fantasy points. That was just in 28 minutes. He lost a couple of minutes at least in the first half as he picked up his third foul very early in the second quarter. So he lost a stint of probably 5 or 6 minutes there. So he probably could have got up to 33 minutes. Came out in the second half and was on fire. So he's been great. He's been a great compliment to Ja Morant. And they're giving him some solid minutes. Now that they're in the playoff race, fighting for that 8th seed, they're going to give their starters more minutes. And Brooks looks great, 5,800 and a great matchup. A small forward would be Brandon Ingram would look great if Jrue Holiday misses. I like Gallinari a little bit at 66. Gordon at 6,000. Fournier, 5,600. This also looks really good. I like Fournier. Great price tag on him. He played through an illness. A game loss. Also got out of hand late. So you're normally going to get like 30. He's played 37, 38 minutes recently. I think that's what you normally would get without Augustine. Just a little bit thin, the rotation. So they're going to need the guys to shoot. Fournier is going to take a lot of shots. And he does have a decent usage rate. He's not super consistent in terms of peripherals, but at 5,600, if we do get 35, 36, 37 minutes out of him, which is what I would normally expect, for a guy that does average like 0.9 point per minute on the season, I would say he's in a good spot, especially against the Charlotte defense, which is god-awful. At power forward, I'm looking at Ingram, like I mentioned. I like Randall at 77 against Cleveland. Siakam, if he's not on a minutes limit, would be fine at 75. And the Sixers news is going to be big here if Al Horford misses, because that would open up a lot of value at the front court. You could see Kyle Quinn start or Pell start. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then Zion's not going to play. Favors is also questionable, which would make Jackson Hayes or Okafor really appealing, whoever starts. But Jaren Jackson looks great at 6,200. He's cheap. Great matchup here against the Pelicans. Also, Bagley, he left the game. Don't know if he's going to miss any time, but that's something to monitor. But I would say I like a $6,200 Jaren Jackson against the Pelicans. Like I said, it's one of my favorite game stacks on the slate. What we saw last game was another one of those classic Jaren Jackson foul games. He was in heavy foul trouble throughout the game. Kevin Love got him to bite on some pump fakes early in the game, so he picked up his second foul at like the 9 or 10 minute mark of the first quarter. Wasn't able to get into rhythm, only played 20 minutes, but we're normally going to get 30 minutes out of him. He's averaged 28 on the year, much over a point per minute. Now the price tag is so down on him in a premier spot. I would definitely like to go there. Kind of prefer him at that position. At center, I'll be looking at Drummond, 96, Vucevic, Randall, Valanciunas, and a cheap play that I like a lot is Jared Allen at 5,900. So Allen's a play just because we've seen that DeAndre Jordan, I believe, is out for this game as well. Yeah, he's out. So that's just going to mean big minutes for Jared Allen. Instead of normally splitting minutes at center, you're going to see him play. He played 29 minutes in a blowout. Could have easily played like 34, 35. Got to see when he checked out at the fourth quarter. But you're going to see a lot of minutes from Jared Allen. It's a much better matchup here. It doesn't have Embiid. He might also not have Al Horford. So it should be a good spot for him. He's too cheap at 5,900. And then at guard is where I play Kyrie Irving. And then on Fanduel here, this is the early slate, I believe. It's the main slate. Fanduel early slate's only 3 games. Not super appealing, but I'll still be playing it nonetheless. This one's tips off at 2 o'clock as well. At point guard here, it's Kyrie Irving again. This looks great. 8,300 is too cheap for him on Fanduel when you have Trae Young, $2,000 more than him. When you have Ben Simmons, $1,000 more than him. Irving definitely sticks out there. At shooting guard, it's Van Fleet if he's not going to be limited. Like, he played 29 minutes in his first game back. He missed about 5 games, so he didn't miss a ton of time. But he would still be on my radar. Just the matchup's great. And Josh Richardson looks good as well at 5,800. And then if you want a cheap play, it would probably be Karis LeVert is worth a shot. Just 4,400 for him on FanDuel. It's a really nice play. But I would say Josh Richardson, especially if Al Horford's out, that's just another guy that does get some usage, especially with the assists. And so that should mean Josh Richardson should have a little bit more usage. Still plays a lot of minutes for the team. And at 58 is still a good price for him, I would say, on FanDuel. Small forward, it's Tobias, it's Siakam. And then he could take a flyer on like Prince at 46. Or one of these Hawks players. They are just so volatile. There are other, the other guys they play besides Young and Collins. You can't normally trust them. Then Morris has been playing well off the bench. He's also worth a flyer at 4,000. But I still like Tobias. If Al Horford misses, then more rebounds to go around. Should be able to bounce back in the spot against Brooklyn Nets. Power forward, would definitely be Jared Allen's my favorite. 56 point per dollar wise. No DeAndre Jordan. Should just easily hit value at 5,600. And then at center is such a interesting position. You have a $5,000+ gap between Drummond and Gasol. But it'll be Drummond. Tough not to play Drummond unless we get Al Horford out and then we get Kyle Quinn starting. You could play there. You could go there at just 4,000 for a Quinn. But right now Drummond is too cheap. I mean, not too cheap, but it's just a great spot against Washington. He got the job done in just 26 minutes as they blew him out by 33 points. They beat the Hawks. another spot where Drummond should dominate against the Wizards front court. So yeah, that's it for this early slate. Like I said, I'll be back for a main slate tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and good luck tonight.